Wouldn't it be awesome if you could have a marketing tool that gave you instant credibility, instant authority, made you stand out from the crowd, and that not only could you easily publish online, but that you could actually give out physically and say, look how clever I am? Well, that's not actually the point of it, to prove how clever you are. But I am talking today to the lovely Sandra Spence, who's walking us through how to build a book to build a business, which is in fact the title of her book. And she talks about building a book. Yes, not writing a book. I mean, you are writing essentially, but it's building a book which becomes a marketing tool for you. It allows you to stand out from the crowd and be able to give some amazing content while also showcasing your business. In today's interview, Sandra gives some amazing tips in how you can literally get your book up and live in a weekend. That's right, in a weekend. Check out the interview. It's completely inspired me to get my head down and make something happen. And I hope it does the same for you. Wouldn't you love to build a business you can run from anywhere in the world, whether that be your kitchen table or a beach in Fiji? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Your Lifestyle Business, the show where I bring you into my life as a traveling entrepreneur and along with some of my awesome guests, give you tips and strategies for building your own freedom business. Welcome to the show. Let's make it happen. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? Joe here. I'm here with the very glamorous Sandra Spence. How are you, Sandra? You're looking lovely there.
Hi, Joe. Nice to see you here.
Sandra's in Canada. I'm in Thailand. That's what I love about the world that we live in, that we can literally talk face to face from across the world and speak to anybody anywhere anytime. So that's fantastic. So Sandra is joining me today. I've had a bit of a theme lately with my lives, actually. I've been talking quite a lot to authors and writers, and I'm going down this theme of I guess it's you attract what you're looking to do yourself, right? And it's something that's been on my mind for ages to write my own book. Haven't got around to it yet, but obviously I'm attracting authors and people into my life at the moment to talk about it. So Sandra's here from the High Profit Author Formula. And Sandra, along with your business partner, Sigrid, wrote a book called Build a Book to Build a Business. And basically, it's all about how you write a book in order to essentially become an extension, a marketing extension of your business. So you're using your book to go out there and promote your business and give yourself some credibility and authority. So, Sandra, tell us a little bit about what led you to writing this book.
Well, I started on my publishing career by publishing a magazine, a digital magazine that was on iTunes, and that was Natural Pregnancy, Birth and Beyond. So I got into that publishing and I really enjoyed it. And it was a way to connect with basically health providers that were offering a basic approach to birth. Me being a midwife, I found that a lot of women weren't understanding their rights, right? And they were told they were arriving this day, you're having a cesarean section, or, this type of thing. And they weren't speaking out, using their own voice and saying, no, I have options, and finding out what those options were. So that was the platform I started on. But then I met Sigrid through publishing, and we'd both written books. We'd both done it the wrong way, the hard way. So from there, we actually put together a program which we called the High Profit Author Formula, and made it into a course. And we did start doing some live training, and we did it online, and we've got the course online too. So we've done all aspects of that.
And so what's the wrong way? You say you both did it the wrong way. What is the wrong way to write a book?
Yeah, don't do this, Joe. First off, don't think, well, because you feel that you're going to write a book, you're going to put all your knowledge into it. So first of all, we say you build the book, and this is a business book, right? You're not writing a novel, or this is specifically a marketing tool that you're going to add to all of your marketing paraphernalia, right? And this is one of the most important parts, I think. So you don't want to fill it with everything you know, because then it would become an encyclopedia. And that's what I started doing when I was writing my essentials for a natural pregnancy. Because I'd got so much experience, I thought, well, I should put this and this and this. And Sigrid did the same thing, but you've got to write to an avatar. So you have to know your ideal client. You write directly to them, and you decide on the way you're going with your book, what type of book you're going to write. Did you have a question?
I just lost you for a second. You just clicked out for a second there. So you were saying that you need to have your ideal avatar. Yeah, you need to know exactly who you're writing for. Yeah.
Yes, and you're writing to just that one person, right? And so you decide on the type of book that you're going to write. And that could be many types. We have actually 5 that we would suggest people look at to decide which line they're going to go down. Like your authority, I've got some notes here. So your authority program book, right? So that's where you already have an established brand. And so you're building it around something you already have. Or your My Story, which is you're going to share that you've overcome some incredible obstacle. And so you're going to share that. The expert interviews. So that's something that you're doing right now, but you could do that and use somebody else's knowledge, right, and build it around that. So you're taking their authority and building your book on that. Or inspirational. So you maybe for healers or for that type of thing, you want to come in on an inspirational level, which you've got the expertise. The how-to book. So that's a really good topic. And the survival guide, that's for people starting on their journey of whatever you're the expert in. And another one is the first steps. So the first steps to whatever you want to eventually lead them to teach them, right? Okay. So that type of thing. Yeah. So those are great ideas to basically look at and then go from there once you've chosen the type that you want to do. And then, the other one is to write to one person, not to everybody, your ideal client, right? So you're writing specifically. And then the other one is to not take the traditional publishing. We say don't take the traditional publishing role ready. If you take that, you might, you'll be forever, cost you an arm and a leg. You have a garage full of books.
Yeah, I read that in your book. You were talking about that. So we'll get to I was talking as well to another lady, Julie, the other day about the traditional publishing route versus the self-publishing or indie publishing. So we'll get to that. But let's just come back to those templates. So they're great. So basically, there's a few templates there that when you're right, and it's the difference between deciding that you want to go and be a Pulitzer Prize winning writer or you're writing essentially. And this is one of the questions I wrote down after writing your book. That really, it's an elegant way of putting it, but really your book is like a very long sales letter. It is really, exactly.
It is just that. That is exactly what it is. Yeah. And it works for every industry, right? So no matter whether you're brick and mortar or you're a coach, a consultant, a speaker, whatever you are, it will work. But you have to plan it with the end in mind, right? So you have a strategy built into how you're going to position yourself and answer the questions that your audience wants. And you already know that being the expert. So you're going to put those questions in there so that they get answered.
Yeah. What I like about that is that when you go to a web page, for instance, and they've got, a really, really long sales page that you're kind of scrolling down, and you're waiting for the buy button, right? But what I like about the book idea is that you're getting a lot of value as well. So I read your book, obviously, and you give all these, here are 5 templates that you can use to write your book. Here's other ideas that you can, here's the mistakes that you need not to make. Here's how you must start with the end in mind. So you're giving all these different strategies through the book, which then mean that I'm getting lots of value and I'm learning something. And then obviously at the end of each chapter in your book, for instance, you'd say, hey, look, we have a course. Here's some free stuff that you can get. Click on this link, go and get our free stuff. And then that's going to lead through to obviously your sales funnel. So I just like the added value, if you like, of a book versus just a sales page, which is built purely just to get you to click that button. It's just, I guess it's a slightly longer route and of getting somebody, especially if they don't go through the whole book, which lots of people don't when they buy a book. But I still think it's a much nicer way. It's a less aggressive way, if you like, of selling your services. I like that.
Yeah. And you can use, like, we have a call to action at the end of every chapter. And we suggest that's what you're going to use the book for. So whatever you choose, you could be directing them to different things, and one of the things you could do is have a complementary something that goes along with each chapter. So they could go to a link and download a work page or a workbook or something and then follow through. Right. So we chose to put a link in that goes to a workshop where we would then do a live workshop, would send some email, templates and things like that. It goes along with it. Register for a workshop, do the workshop, and then bring them in from there if they want to go further. But we do, we've done lots of different things with it. But the main thing is it is. It's your new business card.
I like it. So let's just talk about, I want to talk about going from sort of idea to outline. But before we even get to somebody beginning to create an outline for a book, so you started with those templates, which is great. And I will make sure that after this live, I identify those key templates that you laid out and put them with the post and the links, etc., to further information so people can see those. Because that's a great starting point, asking yourself, well, what kind of book am I going to write? So like for me, for instance, if you're somebody who's done lots of interviews, that's a kind of a Tim Ferriss style Tools of Titans book that you can create there, because you can create some of the great segments from interviews and have, this person said this and this person said this, and that's great. And how-tos and all the rest of it. So I'll include those. That's brilliant. But you also talked about, and I'm going to mention Tim Ferriss again, you also talked about targeting, making sure you know who your target avatar is, which is incredibly important in all walks of business. But you were saying, writing to one person. And I was listening to an audio book of Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. And in there, he says that when he wrote that book, he had 2 really good friends in mind, and he literally wrote the book for those 2 friends. And that to me was like a huge light bulb moment, because I think we need to please everybody. So how important is that? And what does that do to our psyche and our mindset, Sandra, when we start thinking just to one person?
Well, when we teach, how we teach it is, once you've got that avatar in mind, right? So you've really built it just like you're doing in any sales page, right? And you're focusing on that one person, and then you're going to say, as a whatever your profession is or whatever you want to teach, you're going to say, what are the questions I get asked, right? So right now, I'm going to be answering those questions. Or if it's your course or your product or your Amazon product or whatever you're doing, and you want more sales, more eyeballs on that product, right? You're building it in a way, that you're going to use that client so that what the questions to answer. So that's why it works great for, it doesn't matter if when you look on Amazon, and you see so many books on the subject, great, because it's a really popular subject, right? Yeah. So you're in the right market, but you're coming from your perspective and nobody else has the same as you. So you're always going to be unique, right? And it's an authority building book. So that's what you're really trying to do, is stand out in the crowd and your crowded market. So you don't really care about the other people. You're not here to make sales of your book. That is not important at all, because you don't make anything from a book. And in the beginning, you put your book to 99 cents on Amazon so you can get some sales and get the reviews and that type of thing. So you don't really, I think it's just really important when you are using it as a marketing tool to just focus on that one ideal client. Otherwise, you're writing it for everybody and you'll just never get the point across.
And it really is, gosh, it's such a mindset shift. It really is. If anybody's watching this and they're thinking, I want to be a published author, this is a different thing. Yes, this is publishing a book, but it's not to be a published author. It's to use it to market your business. It's such a different mindset. Hence why you've called it how to build a book, to build a business, as opposed to how to write a book, it's how to build a book to build your business. I like it. And when talking about targeting, that one person, I just think, that is crucial through your whole business, really, thinking about exactly what that person wants. And anybody that thinks, oh my gosh, but FOMO, if I really target that one person, all these other people I'm going to miss out on. Well, that's just not simply true, is it? Because you're going to attract the right people to you. Yeah. Okay, so let's say somebody wants to write a how-to book. Okay, so let's say they're in the gardening niche, for instance, and they want to sell a service where they look at videos online and they look at people's gardens and they help them do garden design, right? And so that's something they want to sell, right? Like a consultancy or something. And so they want to write a book, a how-to book on, let's say, garden design in order to go out and build their business using that book. How do they get started? What are kind of the first few? They've decided they want a how-to book. They know who they're writing it to. Now, how do they begin to actually build the book? What are the key steps they need to take and the strategy they need to adopt to build the book?
Okay, so they need to think about when somebody comes to them as a consultant, the people are coming to them and they're saying, okay, this is what I want, right? I want to re-landscape, new landscape. I want to use this kind of plants, or I want to, I'm in a wet, boggy area, or I'm in a tropical area, or, whatever the questions in their area that they're, going to deal with. So they make a list of all of those questions, right? So those are the most questions that they get asked. So if they're going to do a how-to, then they're going to do, they're going to decide on how many chapters they're going to have. So 5 to 10 chapters. You need about 120 pages in your book. So then you're going to divide it into your chapters, and you're going to go, okay, 7, and then, maybe it's 7 how to 7 something, or whatever on your title, but you're going to put all those questions in. And so from there, those are the most common asked questions. And then the next part is they should have asked questions. So you think, well, that's not really that important. Everybody asked me that. What they should be asking is this, right? So then you answer all those questions, because really they're more probably important, but they don't realize it. Yeah. So you start nutting it down like that.
So you're literally building a book from the questions of your target avatar, which is great. Yeah. I love that. Now, you touched on how long a book should be. I'm glad you touched on that, because that was going to be one of my questions. So you said about 120 pages a book should be, and that's what, roughly sort of 200 words per page?
Yeah, something like that. It's, obviously, depending on the font size.
Yeah.
But I think the main part, because then you can put some graphics if you want some design in it, right? And once you've got the layout and everything. So that's why I say for this type of book, it's not going to take you, you don't want to write 500 pages, 500 words a day or anything like that. Take you forever. You'd lose your thought train, right? You wouldn't accomplish it. You'd be lost and you'd give up. And it's not necessary. And then one of the things that we teach in our course is basically to spend the weekend doing it. right? You can get so much done if you just, take full days, set aside and do nothing but this. And there's so many ways you can get that information that you may already have, right? You may already have it. You might not need to start from scratch, but if you are, you've already got it up here. So, you can do lots of different things to create that information.
And you're looking at somewhere between 10 to 15,000 words for a book. And some of my blog posts are like 10,000 words. So, there's lots of mini books on my blog already.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to put them in. Right. Context, what I want to show them, this one or this one.
Yeah. I just slightly lost you there again. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just unpack that again slightly, because you're talking about the being able to essentially create a book in a weekend, and that is what you say in your book as well, that you in your course you're teaching people to do it in a couple of days as opposed to a few weeks. So what are some key tips you can give people then? Because obviously I think a lot of people will hold themselves back from doing this. There'll be lots of reasons why they can't. So what are some key tips you can give people to sort of get out of their own way to get something like this done?
Okay, so for instance, if you're wanting to, I know you obviously are writing a book. So you would look at all the blog posts, just like you said, right? And then organize them and take the best of what you want and use that, right? And then add a new twist to it or whatever and bring it and tie it all together. Or you could use, if you've done lots of interviews like this, you could do that. You could be interviewed or you can interview, either way. Another thing you can do is you can speak your content, right? So you just use an app on your phone, and you can, like Rev, and you can talk directly into your phone, and you can do, a chapter at a time, and then you can send it off and get it transcribed. And by the time it's back, you've got your next one done and your next one done.
I loved that tip in your book. I really did. In fact, I loved it so much that I went and I downloaded Rev. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I can go for walks in the morning, and as I'm walking, I can have a chapter title in my head, and I can walk around and record it into my phone, and then obviously go and get it transcribed and just clean it up and stuff. And So that's a great tip. That's a little golden nugget there. If the whole thought of sitting down in front of your computer and trying to write the words, if you're more of a speaker like I am, and so the thought of sitting down and actually writing the words, it seems a huge task to you, then a great tip is to literally just get your phone, record your voice, have all your chapters outlined, and then record into your phone what it is you want to say, get it transcribed, and then you just literally need to go through the transcription and sort of clean it up so that it's readable, and people can read it. So that's a great tip from your book. Thank you for that, Sandra. That was awesome. So what about when we've actually written the words? What's kind of the next stage then? So let's say we've gone through and we've created 10 or 15,000 words and we think this is going to be a book. You talked a bit about images. So, would you include images and graphics in a book? Or
not much, but sometimes just to lighten it up a bit, But I think one of the first things that you do once you've got your title, right? So your title is so important, and you need your keywords in the title, really. So you need to figure out what that is, and then you need to get it designed. And so that you would send that off to whoever you want to use, 99 Designs, Fiverr, and then make sure that it's great looking. Okay, it doesn't have to be pretty design necessarily, but you have to think that when somebody's looking and scanning through, Amazon, and they're looking for a book on business, or they're looking for a book on lifestyle, or whatever, it's going to grab them, right? And you've only got that tiny little space So putting a design on it and tiny little writing, they're not going to see it. So that's why we chose, the great big writing and the colors and stuff. So it really shows up. Put some keywords in it, right? So that's important. And once you've got that done, then you can start using that in your social media as you are the upcoming author of the so-and-so book. Right,
Yep.
so you can start getting some attention, media attention, or social media, whatever you want. You can have your little, group of promoters going out there and helping you to get, to get more eyeballs on it, more visibility, so that when you do actually make the day of,
I just lost you again.
Ready, and am I breaking up again?
Yeah, you just broke up again for a second.
So what happens when you're living on an island?
Yeah, you got to when you're ready to publish the book. I think you were just at that stage.
Yes, when you're ready to publish the book, and you've got it up on Amazon or KDP, right? So that everything is ready to go, and you've got people who can already, you've been promoting it enough. Right, yep. So that when that day comes, you're ready. It's just really important to get that done first. One of the first things to do.
Okay, and you talked about the title there. What are some tips to making sure that you select? Are there any specific tips that we need to think about when we're going to be launching a book on Amazon or KDP or whatever? That the title needs to be a certain length, or it has to include this, or is there anything?
No, it's more or less, the regular thing that you would put in any sort of sales letter, or, the title when you're trying to think of your keywords, and something that's got, basically the title and then the subtitle, right? So it explains everything, the high profit author formula, right? So that's above the title. Then the build a book to build a business, and then under that is the discover the power of authority marketing in 5 easy steps. So you're basically spelling it all out. This is what you're going to get inside this. So they're just the same. Could be the 7 steps to this, or the 22 steps for that type of thing. But just so that somebody knows, looking at it, that this is what this book is about, and yes, you'd be interested in it.
Okay.
Right.
So talking about publishing then, because you said one of the biggest mistakes was to go down the traditional publishing route, which is not what we want to do here, because this is not about becoming a, published author. This is about building a book to add to our marketing arsenal. So we are obviously self-publishing on Amazon, KDP, etc. Something I have not yet experienced myself. Do you give yourself like a publishing name? Do you have to kind of come up with like a little, as if you're a publisher, or literally you're just publishing as yourself?
No, well, if you don't want to be a ghostwriter, if you're not scared about sharing your name, yes, you publish yourself, and you can get your own author page on Amazon. So you would set that up, right? And so once you've got your first one, then you can add to it your second and third. But I think that when you say you're not wanting to become a published author, that isn't the point. The point is you do want to be a published author, because that elevates your status, because now you've got some extra credibility that Joe Blow down the road doesn't have. So that's what separates you from the competition, because you do have, and that's what I said when I'm talking with realtors or anything, if you went to a listing appointment and you were the only one with the book, right, you're already so much further ahead than all the other people are going to traipse in with the same listing presentation, right? And even if there's somebody in the same office as that realtor, you could still be completely separate. They're not, because you're going to come from your side of how you would look after your clients, and maybe you're going to focus on first-time home buyers, and somebody else in the office is going to focus on sales of strata, and condos and things like that. So there's just so many options to really set yourself apart.
Yep. Yeah. So, okay, let's rephrase that then. So it's not about not becoming, it's about not having to wait 2 years to be a published author, because that's roughly how long a traditional publishing deal might take. You want to be out there quite fast. Yeah. But at the same time, you do still need to make your book quality, right? Because obviously you don't want to publish rubbish. So do you, after you've written your book, do you have any strategies for proofreading, editing, that kind of stuff? What should people do once they've written those 10, 12, 15,000 words?
Yeah, you can hire an editor, and you can have that editor work with you through the book, or you could hire them specifically to correct your grammar and things like that. You know, so you can set that up with editor, how much work you. But you can also. Are we breaking up again?
Yeah, it's all right. You're back. Yeah.
You can organize that ahead of time, right? So that you know what we suggest is you do it in Google Docs, and then as you're going through, you know, you can add somebody else to that document who can also have second eyes on it, and you know, help you in that as well. And then you can easily send it to the editor. They can make their changes. You can see what's been done. Because one of the things that, you know, if you're working with a traditional publisher and you don't get, you know, you coming from your voice, they might look at that and say, well, this is not how we would write it. And then you would lose the whole, you know, the whole concept of where you're coming from. You're not doing it as a traditional read. You're doing it as a marketing tool. So you need to keep that individual voice. So you can, you know, use the editor how much you think you need. But it's good to send it to Rhett and get him to have a read too.
I proofread all his stuff.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. Your sister.
No, absolutely, yeah. Just to somebody else who's willing to have a read of it and go through it. Yeah, okay. So that's great stuff. I just lost my train of thought then, because they've just started drilling again next door, but I can't hear it very well. Excuse me a minute. Okay. So you do a course about this, Sandra. You have a course all about this, about how to write the book and how to publish the book and how to do it fast. So could you just tell us a little bit about what's included in that and how that benefits people?
Okay. Well, we have a step to get started, which is a workshop. And so that workshop, we actually normally charge for that workshop, but we would like to invite anybody that is one of your listeners and part of your tribe to come onto that workshop if they would like, where we actually go through the first steps of building your book. So a lot of the things that we've talked about actually go in detail in that, so that you can get started. And then from there, we do have a course, and the course would be 6 weeks. So you can get the book done basically in 2 days if you really set your mind to it. But that's getting the information out. Then you want to organize it, get it edited, and then we go through publishing it so that you can put it on KDP yourself, how to make your Amazon page, how to do everything really, and to get your marketing in place as you go along. Right, all of those steps.
Just hold your book up, Sandra, because this is where it all starts. Now you can go and get this book on Amazon. It's called Build a Book to Build a Business. And I will put the links. I'll put the links to the book and the links to the course. And very generously, Sandra is giving any of my listeners access to the workshop, which would normally be, I think you said $40 to join.
Yeah.
But as you're my listener, then you're going to get that for free, which is amazing. Thank you very much, Sandra. So I'll make sure that I give you the links and everything to that, so you can go and learn more about that. And then if you want to take it further with Sandra and Sigrid, then you can with their course. But the book is super valuable. And the other thing that's great about writing a book like this as well is it's quite a fast read. So funnily enough, I'm a voracious reader, but recently, just because of time and attention spans and stuff like that, I've become a bit more of a podcast listener and stuff like that, because books take such a long time to read. And after I read your book, I thought, wow, even if I wanted to write normal, books, just to actually write books to give information as opposed to just become a marketing tool, I thought I might keep them quite short anyway, because it's quite nice to be able to read a book in 2 or 3 hours as opposed to weeks on end.
Yeah. Well, I think that when you realize that this is to gain credibility, become the expert, become the celebrity, and all that in your market, you're really not wanting to write a novel, right? You're just wanting to put your marketing in one place. And as we said, you don't throw away a book. It's your own.
Oh, you broke up.
You can put some of your testimonials in there too.
You broke up.
You can put your testimonials in there.
Okay. Yeah, testimonials. Yeah.
You can put your testimonials in there, right?
Yes.
So if you've got a brick and mortar business too, right, it's such a great marketing strategy. And that's why we've had a problem with in the past where a lady came and wanted some marketing, right? She had her book, but she hadn't set it up right in the first place. She'd also gone with a traditional publisher. And so there was so many, things in the contract that she couldn't change, right? So she couldn't give the book away. She couldn't do this. She couldn't do that. Luckily for her and us, the last minute, the contract fell apart because she got bought out or something. So she was free. So we had to actually work with her to change the book so that we could put in that marketing, and then we put it up for her, published it for her and everything. So it is really important to start with the end in mind.
That's a great story. I love that. And before we go, though, I did have one more question I did want to ask you. It's such a newbie question, so I hope this helps the people watching, because, I have not yet published any books or anything. How do you get a physical copy like you have there? Because I always thought when you published on KDP or whatever, it was just a Kindle book that went on to your phone and your Kindle Fires. How do you actually get yourself a proper, so can you actually sell both Kindle and print books?
Print on demand. That's why, if you were a speaker and you were going to an event, and then you would just have author copies sent to you, right? And so that way, you only have the amount that you need, right? So you get them printed for the least amount of money, and then you can, put your price to whatever you want back, so that you're only going around. And you should always have one, because you never know. It's your foot in the door strategy. We got so many strategies that we teach that you can use the book for, right? And things that, one of the things I really like is, you're trying to make a connection with somebody, and you would never be able to get there normally, right? Some CEO or whatever. And we've used this story, and people have used this to actually make connections. So you send them a copy of your book from Amazon, and you do it gift wrapped, right? So when it gets to the office and the CEO, it is not opened by the secretary. It's taken and put on his desk, right? And so there he is opening up your book, right? And so inside there, you can point him to a particular chapter or a particular testimonial or something that you want him to see, or her, right? And so, that's one of our foot in the door strategies.
Yeah, and great for networking as well. If you go to a networking event, and also I can imagine if you wanted to become a speaker at a local business event or something. If you had a book, you got a far greater chance of them saying, "Great, yeah, come and talk," because everybody wants people who with some credibility and authority, right?
Exactly. And if you've got the book, and you're going to meet me at the back of the room where I'll be selling my book or whatever, then if somebody bothers to come and then you're going to autograph it, that is your target market, they're spending the time afterwards to come and get it autographed because they probably want to have a word with you, right? So you have that opportunity to talk with them directly and start that know, like, and trust, right? So it's just a great business tool. And like you said, if somebody gave you this book on a plane or wherever you wear it, you just keep it with you at all times, and then they've autographed it and everything. You go home and you actually keep it, right? You don't throw it away like a business card. I mean, I can open up my drawer and I'll find loads here, and I never look at them again, and then they get tossed, right? So it's so much better, and it's really not that much more expensive,
Yeah. Great. I think it's just brilliant. It's inspired me, and I really feel, oh my gosh, I just need to go and get it done. As does anybody watching this. Whoever's watching this and you're thinking, I really want to go and write my book, just get it done. We need to just get our heads down. I could probably go to my blog, stroke my Evernote, stroke my Scrivener, stroke my Google Docs, and pull together 15 to 20,000 words of stuff that I've written over the years about building a lifestyle business in one afternoon. It would probably take me one afternoon to pull that together and put it in a book. So I'm not going to, my Rets forbid me from setting myself up any more challenges. So I'm not going to set it as a challenge, but I am going to go and do it.
You should. You really should, because you've got all the content. You've got the content. It's just organizing it, right? And most people do. Most people have the content,
Most people do. That's the thing. If whoever's watching this, if you go and have a look on your computer, look at everything you've written or videos you've made or podcasts that you've created but maybe haven't recorded or whatever, you will have all that information right there, and you can just pull it all together and put it into some semblance of order, make sure it's answering questions or whatever style you want, and away you go. So that's just been great, Sandra. Is there anything else that you want to say before we call it quits today? Any other gems of wisdom that you have for anybody wanting to go out and do this?
Well, just know that it's not that difficult, really, and if one of the things that you can also do is you're doing live videos all the time, but you could actually sit and record on Zoom or anything, and then after you've used that content to build your book, you can actually use some portions of that in your pre-marketing material, right? You can use snippets and bringing people, to the book for, once you do set the launch date, right? So all the way through, keeping the interest, building up, that anticipation.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I do apologise if there's been a little bit of drilling noise in the background there. I did ask them to stop, but they have started again. But that's been absolutely phenomenal and great advice. And my biggest piece of advice right now, guys, watching this is just go and get the book. Go and get the build a book to build a business and have a read through that. And then check out the workshop, link through to the workshop and go through the workshop and let Sandra and Sigrid help you to create what could be a life-changing marketing tool, really. From some of the stories in the book, it really could be a life-changing marketing tool. And that's not dramatic or an exaggeration. So there's some great stories in your book about people that have just, their businesses have flown since they wrote the book. So all right. And I'll also put links to where you can find Sandra on Facebook and all over the web as well. And just thank you so much again, Sandra, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. To join in the conversation, please head over to yourlifestylebusiness.com, where you can find links to podcasts, show notes, and sign up to download my free ebook, How to Build a Business You Can Run from Anywhere in the World. Also, make sure you come and join our Facebook community. Just search for Your Lifestyle Business on Facebook and you'll soon be sharing ideas with like-minded entrepreneurs all on the same journey. Lastly, if you have a moment, please subscribe and quickly rate this podcast on iTunes. It takes 1/10 of a second to hit the little stars, and your rating will ensure it gets out to more people and impacts as many as possible with the message, make it happen. Thank you so much. See you next time.